What is going on, everybody? I hope you all are having a fantastic day. It is the day after Christmas and it is beautiful outside, and we're going to be taking full advantage of this. So I know it's been a long time since I've done a Grom video, so in today's video that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's air up the big blocks and head out for a rip. What is up? Back on the Grom. Change of scenery here. It has definitely been a while. We went on a little ride yesterday, but I wouldn't really count that. We were just playing around. Today we're gonna do some exploring, some adventuring. I plan on getting filthy, so come along, let's have some fun. Oh, don't miss the suspension, that's for sure. And we'll see what we can get into. One thing about this Grom is I have the hardest time wheeling this thing off-road. Like, it is just not stable enough with those little wheels to hold it up. Like, as soon as you hit a couple bumps, it's game over. I can do a foot off wheelie pretty far, but you've got that extra like anchor to balance on, and it's not that cool. Woo! All right, that might have been kind of cool. Almost that stump, that was close. But man, I really do miss riding in general. Especially the Grom. Like last summer, I would literally go out and ride the Grom every single night. We had a little group here in town. Shout out to Hannah, Kyler, Josh, Caitlin, Matt, Alex, and we'd always get together literally every night and go ride Groms. It was a blast. I definitely missed that. Unfortunately, I just don't have that time anymore, but hopefully my life becomes organized enough to be able to do stuff like that, because I really do enjoy it. I'm not even gonna lie, I might have to shed some layers here. It's just crazy to think we have this weather. Matter of fact, I'm gonna unzip my pits here. Oh yeah, I can feel that airflow. Sweet. Funny enough, I've actually had this DC snowboarding jacket since I was probably 10 or 12 years old. That would have been like 6th grade, I believe, so a long time ago. But usually this is what I tend to ride in the winter. I also have a heated jacket that's a similar material, but these snowboarding jackets are just super nice in the winter. It acts as a windbreaker and they're usually super insulated. Oh, just got bucked off my steed. Oh, that was a good foot on. Oh, that was slick. Almost put her down. Yes. Oh, don't chase it. There we go. God, that's fun. So we're coming up on 6,000 miles right now, and I just wanted to readdress what I think of the Grom after 5,000 solid hard miles of riding. So as some of you know, mainly my original subscribers, this was my entry back into the street riding world. And long story short, I got the itch again. I became a little bit smarter, more mature, so I knew I could handle the responsibility of riding on the streets. So how did I end up with the Grom? I mean, coming from an R6 to a Grom, like really most people wouldn't even understand that. And honestly, a lot of it just had to do with other motovloggers. Fool again, Photogrammer, a couple other names, but I was hurt short at the time, and I was just sitting on the couch, miserable, and I watched these groups of people just go out on these mini bikes and have a blast. Now, I had always wanted a pit bike growing up. I always had a dirt bike, but there was just something about mini bikes that was just so much fun to me. And I actually did end up getting a 110L. That was my dream pit bike. They came out in 2010, and the 110L is just a little bit larger than the regular 110 and comes from the factory with a clutch. Oh my gosh, this is muddy as heck. Oh no. So I had rode the 110L for a while. I kind of got burnt out on that too because I really didn't have anybody to ride with. And I ended up meeting Alexis during that time frame. Got another pit bike so we could both ride together. And then I knew the next step is we would have to get some street bikes. It was just something else that I wanted to do, you know, something to keep the relationship fun and we could do together. And sure enough, we started looking at Groms. I knew she would feel a lot more comfortable on a Grom being her first motorcycle. And deep down, I really wanted a Grom. Like, there was a few main videos from Fooligan, I believe, that he went to this quarry and they were just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I just knew that I had to get one of these things. So along that process, I ended up going to look at a Z125 just because it was a little bit cheaper. I'm a Kawasaki fan, and I didn't like the way the Z125 fit me. My knees were hitting that sharp fairing right here, and I ended up walking out of the dealership and waiting a few more months. And then during that time frame, my parents, just out of the blue, told me that they were interested in getting Groms as well. And I was like, what? So they ended up being serious, and we were on the hunt. And this is when the SF came out, and they were super rare to find in my area. Like, no dealerships had them. So after months and months, we found a local dealership that was going to get a shipment in of all four. And sure enough, they got one in each color. Alexis has the white one, my mom has the red one, my dad has the highlighter yellow, and I, of course, went with the black. So as soon as they were assembled, we picked them up, actually broke them in on the highway doing like 50, 55 miles an hour. And the next year was nothing but Grom riding. Every chance I could get, I was hopping on this thing, going out, adventuring, exploring. And coming from the R6, I was having way more fun on the Grom. First of all, I wasn't expecting this to be fast. You don't buy a Grom to go fast. There's a lot of stigma attached to Groms, and it just really comes from people that don't understand why people buy these things. And coming from the pit bike and everything, I just knew I would love it. And just having that street legal aspect, the reliability, the fact that you can still cruise, you know, 55, 60 miles an hour if you're lucky. It just really appealed to me, and sure enough, I fell in love. Alexis and I went out countless times, put hundreds of hours on these things, and that's what she learned how to ride on. So my Grom story is a little bit different than some. As you can see what we're doing right now, this is how I've always ridden my Grom, even when I had street tires. I bought it with that intent to ride it like a dirt bike, and that's exactly what we've done. Luckily, our local group has some guys that aren't afraid to send it, and we've been on some awesome group rides together and done a lot of things that most Groms haven't seen. But that brings me to my next point. How is this thing held up? This is held up better than any motorcycle that I've ever owned. They are ridiculously low maintenance. I haven't done pretty much anything except oil. Had oil change now and then. These don't have filters, so you gotta clean out the spinner once in a while. I've swapped out the chain a few times. I've done gearing just by choice. I've never changed the air filter, but this thing has been rock solid. I'd like to do a compression test here soon and see what I'm at, because I've literally beaten the crap out of this thing. As you guys know, I've racked up hundreds of miles on one wheel, and I attribute that to the ZabFab oil pump, which they're no longer in business. But over the past 5,000 miles, like I said, this Grom's seen it all. It's been to plenty of different states, and this bike has really just allowed me to meet everybody currently that I hang out with. I didn't have many friends at the time, and this bike just brought me into this community of awesome people. And that's the other thing, there's no community like the Grom community. I've literally met some of the nicest, most awesome friends ever from this bike. But a lot of people seem to sell their Groms once they get bored with them, but I haven't got that same experience. I've never gotten bored with the Grom. I of course have, you know, multiple different bikes, so I have the luxury of hopping from bike to bike. So if you can only have one motorcycle, then I probably wouldn't recommend the Grom. But that honestly just depends on how you're gonna ride it. If you live in the city, if you're gonna be riding with other people that have Groms, then yeah, go for it. Get the Grom if that's what you're into. I think I'm down to 7 or 8 motorcycles right now. I don't see myself getting rid of the Grom anytime soon. We bought them new, so if I were to ever sell it, I would lose tremendously. But that just gives me another reason to keep it. And there's just something about riding a bike like is not meant to be ridden. Like, I don't think when Honda designed the Grom, they were expecting people to go out and do this stuff. And yes, the suspension is garbage. The wheels are too small, but that's not the point. That's what makes it fun. So after 5,000 miles, would I still recommend somebody to buy a Grom? Of course I would. Just be self-aware. Just ask yourself, how am I going to ride this thing? Do I have other Grom riders to ride with? And honestly, the answer for me is just to have multiple motorcycles, one that does every job. Don't expect to buy this and commute on the freeway every day and enjoy it. I know people that do. Mr. Photo G rode his across the country. They're just so versatile, and I do not regret any dollar that was spent on this bike. So that's gonna wrap it up with my 5,000 mile rant. I'm really looking forward to putting 5,000 more on this, and I'll do another video in the future of what my plans are with the Grom. It's kind of a little bit inbred right now, you know. I got the dirt tires, the stunt cage, and it kind of just can't make up its mind. But that's why I like dual sports so much. I just want bikes that I can do everything on. If I want to go hop on a street and do some wheelies, I can do that. If I want to do stuff like this, I can do that. It's just the best of both worlds. Yes, you're gonna sacrifice performance, you know, either way. Like with the sub cage, I'm getting hung up on things now and then. And I used to have a different style of rear sets, but huge shout out to Z&Z for these. These kind of mimic the stock rear set, and it has the folding lever, which is perfect. I don't have the passenger pegs anymore. I'm super happy on that. I always caught my leg on that thing and it just stuck out too far. But if you do ride with a passenger, I would still recommend it. But Alexis is so short that she can actually put her feet on the sub cage. But these rear sets have been awesome and they're super solid, so shout out to Z&Z, check them out. But I just wanted to do this video to let you know that I still have a lot of love for the Grom, and it's not going anywhere. I did name the channel for a reason. I just like to do whatever I want, so thank you to everybody that can keep up with my random life. But we got about 30 minutes of daylight left, so let's see what we can get into. Oh my gosh, looks soupy down here. Oh, well, you guys, my Grom decided to take a nap, so I think that's gonna end today's video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Grom. Let me know your experiences with the Grom, how much you like it over the time span that you've owned it, if you've gotten tired of it, etc. Grom's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. Next week, we're just gonna spend all of our time building up the shop, so look forward to that. I cannot wait to have a nice, organized place to work on motorcycles. So if you enjoyed today's video and you enjoyed seeing the Grom, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn the notifications on, and until tomorrow's video, because we do daily uploads here, I will see you then. Boom!